Yes, Mr. Uksili.
Good day, Mrs. Pusey. Could you please give a little bit of your name?
My name is Susan Judy.
What is your occupation?
I live with my husband.
I'm sorry, could I just stop you here for a moment?
Yeah, come on.
Could I just ask what your occupation is?
Dancer.
Well, sorry?
Dancer.
Well, I'm a dancer.
Where do you live?
I live at number 4 Factory Mills, Coronation Road, Bradbury.
How long have you lived there?
I purchased this property about 9 months ago with my husband, so we've been living over there for about 9 months now.
Can you describe your neighborhood to the court?
Well, basically, it's fair to say that there's been a lot of animosity towards.
Could I just stop you there for a moment?
Yes.
Could I just ask you to describe the neighborhood, not the relationship with the neighbors?
Well, basically, describing the neighborhood, the property, the Muse, used to provide accommodation for the workers at the old Bradbury brick factory, which was demolished about 30 years ago. And there has been, and basically this has been the subject of some extensive renovations as part of the gentrification of the part of Bradbury. And right now it contains about 10 luxury townhouses, and one of the houses belongs to us.
Congratulations. Were you at home on the morning of Monday, the 8th of November, 2016?
Yes, I was on.
What were you doing? Can you recall what you were doing at around 11:15 a.m.?
Well, I had just gotten up really late, I guess around 10 that day, because we had a party the previous night. And the party did not end about till 1 a.m. and we went to sleep right before 2, I'm guessing, and we got up around 10, my husband and I, and we were kind of waiting for the plumbers who were due that day.
And can you tell us what happened while you were waiting?
Oh, well, as we were waiting, I was at the back of the house, really, so I couldn't really hear what was happening at the front door. But the next thing I knew, my husband, William, had brought 2 young men into the kitchen, and he introduced them as students who lived in the area and were conducting a survey about the changes to their local town as part of their school project.
Were you expecting these visitors?
No, I was not.
So you were expecting the plumber, but not these visitors?
Yes, yes.
Could you describe the 2 young men?
Well, the young men, both of them, appeared to be about 16 to 17 years of age, and they were both pretty slim, built an average height, and rather scruffily dressed, as I recall, and they were in their school uniform. Yeah.
How did their arrival make you feel?
Well, honestly, I was a little embarrassed to find strangers in the house while I was still wearing my dress gown. So I didn't really look at them directly very often. Although I do recall thinking how much the shorter one resembled the young man who mugged me last year.
So what did you do? How did you respond?
Respond to what?
To them arriving, and after they made you feel uneasy, what did you do?
Well, my husband basically dealt with them for the most part, as even when they arrived, I was outside, I was not inside the house. So I just kept out of the way, making everyone a cup of coffee.
And while you were making coffee, is this in the kitchen? You made the coffee in the kitchen?
Yes.
What happened while you were in the kitchen?
Well, just as I was in the process of pouring the boiling water into the cafeteria, one of the young men, the taller one of the two, if I remember correctly, asked if he could use the toilet.
And what did you respond?
I agreed and explained where the toilet was, and directed him to the first floor, as the ground floor toilet was out of commission due to a leak. And I explained to him where the bathroom was, saying it was on the second door on the right, on the top of the stairs.
Could I confirm that you provided a plan of the second floor of your home?
Yes, I have.
Is this the plan that you drew of,
Yes,
can I confirm that this is the plan? that
yes,
you
this is
drew?
the plan.
Sir, may I enter this plan as evidence to?
Exhibit 2, yes.
Mrs. Pusey,
Yes.
in this, do you have a copy of the plan there with you?
Yes, I do.
Could you please point out where on this plan your bathroom is located in relation to your bedroom?
It's basically right next to the master bedroom on the first floor, the ensuite bathroom as it's mentioned over there in the plan. Right up the stairs.
When you guided and gave the young man instructions,
Yeah.
or gave him the okay to use the bathroom, what did he do?
Well, once I gave him instructions, he went to the bathroom. He went to the bathroom and he went upstairs. And it was about 10 minutes until he came back.
What did you do while the young man was upstairs?
Well, after 10 minutes had passed, I started to get a little concerned because it had been a while. So I was wondering as to why it was taking him so long. And I was also aware about the fact that his colleague was getting a little twitchier, as I could really sense through his voice that something was really dodgy about the questions that he was asking.
How did this make you feel?
Well, I became a little concerned. I went upstairs to check on the man who went to the bathroom, and I found him standing outside the bedroom.
What was he doing when you found him?
He was stuffing something that looked like a cloth into his pockets.
You say he was stuffing something into his pockets. Did you notice anything unusual about his pockets?
If I remember correctly, his pockets were bulging, which I had not noticed before. It was really obvious to me at this point that he might have been stealing from our bedroom. And I became a little shocked at the time, but it just made me froze at that very moment.
And how did the young man respond when he saw you?
I recall, well, I don't really remember the details that correctly, but from what I can recall, is that when I saw him, he was standing next to the occasional table, which is just outside our bedroom door. And there was...
Could I just stop you there for a moment? Could you just tell the court how the young man reacted when you saw him? What was his reaction?
For a moment, it was an anxious situation for him, and the boy ended up pushing past me with his head down, totally ignoring the entire situation, and made his way rapidly down the stairs afterwards.
And how did you respond?
Well, at first I didn't speak, and I just looked at him, and he was clearly aware that he was caught red-handed, and there was something really dodgy going on. But as he went past me, I said to him, "You keep."
When the young man, you said that the young man pushed past you to go down the stairs. When he went back downstairs, did he interact with the other young man that was downstairs?
I did not go immediately back downstairs at that point.
Did they observe each other? Did you see any kind of,
Like I mentioned, I did not go back downstairs immediately afterwards.
so what did you do next?
I went into the toilet
Mhm.
to just see if there was any signs of anything missing. But there was no obvious sign that it had just been used, even though we had been upstairs for about 10 minutes. And the cistern was not in the process of refilling. I was only there for about a second. Yeah,
What was your mood like at this time?
well, I was concerned.
Did you go back downstairs?
Yes.
And what did you do when you went downstairs?
Well, I immediately went back downstairs afterwards and tried to persuade William and to stop them from leaving.
And how did you do that?
Well, as I go downstairs, I could see that the boys were leaving hastily, and they were kind of in a rush. And I immediately said something to William to try to get them to stop the boys or call the police or something.
And what did your husband do?
Well, he, from what I remember correctly, he made some sort of attempt to interrogate them, but it all happened so quickly that we just didn't really have the courage or presence of mind, if you may, to know what to do at that point, because it happened so quickly.
And what did you do next?
Well, afterwards, I just rushed upstairs to see if anything was missing, because they had left, and I was really concerned that there might have been something missing. I had a very quick look around our bedroom, and noticed that the drawer in the cabinet, which was next to William's side of the bed, was ajar.
Did you check anything else inside the room?
Well, I know for a fact that my husband often keeps quite a large amount of cash in that drawer, so I went over to check to see if it was still there or not, and I found that there was none over there. I then checked the dressing table. My jewel case was still closed, and when I opened it at first glance, everything appeared to be in place. However, when I looked into one of the compartments, the antique silver cameo pendant that had belonged to my grandmother once had been missing.
That's 12 minutes, Wendy. Thanks, Mohammed. Take a seat. Right, Wendy, take a seat. Okay. Now, you've got the thanks. Wendy, so your communication skills, I thought your voice production and your posture were fine. Your eye contact, keep your eyes on the witness, okay? Don't get distracted at one point. I just looked up just to sort of make sure that you were standing up straight and looking at the witness, and you're immediately distracted and started looking back at me. Ignore me and ignore the assessor, okay? You just keep completely focused on that witness in the next week's formative and in the exam, and don't worry about anyone else. Hesitance at times, Wendy, few uns and ers. Your tone was okay, it wasn't too bad. Now, structurally, it was a perfectly well-ordered examination, Chief. There were no real problems, but I just think, just bear in mind next week, you were lucky. You had a witness who was very helpful for you, and he was quite happy, or she, should I say, was quite happy to give you reasonable amounts of information as a result of each of the questions, and that's fine. Many witnesses will do that, in fairness. But I think what you need to make sure, Wendy, is that next week, if the witness is a little bit more reticent, they will perhaps just give much shorter answers. You're going to have to work a bit harder to get the information out, and obviously that means that you've got to be particularly concerned to make sure that the story comes out in the right order, because the witnesses, that the order in which the story comes out is going to be a lot more dependent on your questions than maybe with Mrs. Pusey today. Question type, Now, generally speaking, they were clear enough and short, but there were a number of questions that needed to be improved upon, and here's a few examples. What did you do? How did you respond? Yeah, two questions rolled into one. When he went downstairs, did he interact with the other young man downstairs? You asked. I would have just said, what happened when the taller youth went back downstairs? I mean, that's a simple question, isn't it? The other problem with that question, by the way, Wendy, was that Mrs. Pusey had basically said that she'd seen the tall youth at the top of the stairs near the bedroom stuffing something in his pocket, and then he had sort of brushed past her and she'd said, "You thief." And then, of course, your next question was that this slightly odd question was, when he went downstairs, did he interact with the other young man downstairs? And the problem with that was that the question ran the risk of the witness, resulted in the risk of the witness jumping over the important bit of the story where she said that she went into the lavatory and found that it had not been used, so the cistern wasn't refilling. Now, that was careless and that was your fault. Now, as it happened, you're lucky because the witness was keen to tell the story and be pretty thorough. So she didn't let her get over that bit of evidence, okay, or skip over it. So she helped you with that, and you were lucky. But many witnesses might be distracted by your question, and of course, you've missed the evidence about her checking the lavatory, which would be a pity. So be careful. Make sure that you're being thorough with the witness, and the witness is repeating as their evidence in chief all the relevant admissible parts of his or her statement. So there we are. There was one other one. Did you go back downstairs? Well, just try and avoid the does questions. I was just saying, what did you do once you checked the lavatory had been used? And she was there, I went back downstairs. So try to keep the questions beginning with what, when, where, why, how, and who. Okay, very important there. There were a couple of these minor leading questions. I don't need to make a habit of them. They should be an exception, not the norm. Now, understanding the case. Are the guests trustworthy? Could it have been one of the guests that had taken the money and the pendant? What exactly did the youths say when they wanted to come into the house? Well, the witness did say, in fairness to you, well, it was for a social studies course or whatever it was. So by implication, she was saying that's what it was. It wasn't, they didn't say they were doing the survey to improve their CVs, which of course we know that these two idiots are going to claim that was what they said to Mr. and Mrs. Pusey. So I wouldn't necessarily expect you to say how, what, are you sure it wasn't for CVs or something like that? But I might have asked, how sure are you about what the youths had said about the reasons for doing the survey? And she'll say, well, very sure, that's fine. By implication, she's disputing the correctness of the defence version which is coming. Were the boys lectured by Mr. Pusey? Of course, we've got some suggestion from the last minute's instructions that the boys are going to say that there was a bit of a glance between the two of them as the taller boy came back downstairs, but it was a sort of eye-rolling glance and what have you. And so we want to just try and get her to say the two boys looked at each other and it was a conspiratorial look. And then I think one of our other questions in relation to that is, why didn't you mention that in your statement? Because of course she didn't. But obviously, if you know last minute instructions, we're told to assume she'd spoken to the officer and she'd obviously raised this with the officer. I think prompting you to deal with it because of course that would help you.
So I was asking her, did they interact with each other? But did you?
Right. So your question needed to be then something like this. So what did you do? What did you do when the taller boy went back downstairs? And then she was saying, let's just double check the sequence of events. I'm not misleading you, but I think her. So what we then do is once she says that the taller boy went downstairs. My next question might be, what were the two youths' demeanour like at this stage, or something? Do you see that may help a little bit? Then you might say, you might push your luck a little bit and say, was there any conversation between the 2 years at the same? What was their demeanour like? Try something like that, Wendy, okay? And then what did you do once you saw the two youths go back downstairs, and then she'll say, you know, she went to the toilet. In fairness to you, actually, that was the right sequence, not the sequence I suggested. But anyhow, so.
The problem is that she said that she didn't go back downstairs, so I couldn't take the questioning that way. But she didn't go back downstairs right away when.
No, so just getting it right. Sorry, it's been a long day here. So just getting it right, looking at her story, she says that he was stuffing something into the pocket. He brushed past her. What did the taller boy do? He went downstairs. What did you see the two boys do then? Then she will say something like, I saw them looking at each other, and there was a. In fact, yeah, I mean, you could ask her at that stage. It's not quite clear from the last minute instructions when she saw the look, but then you'd say, well, what did you do after the two boys went downstairs? I checked the loo, it was empty. What did you do after you checked the loo to see if it was used? Then she'll say, I went back downstairs. Were the youths still there? What were the two youths doing at that point? And then to get the sequence right, they were leaving hastily. Were you able to observe the two youths clearly at that stage? Hopefully she'll say yes. Did they speak to each other? No. Was there any other communication between the two of them you could see at that stage, or something like that? Well, that may work, Wendy, as well. So, in any event, let's just try and rephrase the question relating to the observations to make it a little bit more clear, I suppose. But I mean, in fairness to you, I retract my points about that question jumping over other stuff, although it's not clear when she saw the two youths looking at each other, whether it was after he went past or when she got back downstairs. Now, what else have we got? Listing the evidence. You got much of the evidence out, in fairness, although I emphasise you had a helpful witness, okay, so just bear that in mind. Now, or a witness who's keen to help, I should say. Get the witness to hold the plan up when you were asking her about where the bathroom is and where the master bedroom is, just because that will help clarify things for me as to the layout of the first floor of their house. Formal procedures, good introductions. You rightly asked her for the address. Now, you let the inadmissible evidence go in Wednesday again, as I said to Clara earlier. You've just got to make sure that you know what the witness can't mention, and if you can't ask questions to steer the witness around the inadmissible evidence, you've got to, at the very least, listen out carefully and be ready for when the witness does try and raise it, because they will next week and in the exam. So you've got to be really listening out, and as soon as you think they're about to say it, you've got to stop them there and then calmly but quickly move on to something else. Now, the procedures for introducing the exhibit, you can assume that your actor or actress next week and in the exam will have a copy of the documentary exhibit. So what you can do is to say, when you're ready to introduce, in this example, the plan, Mrs. Pusey, to the best of your knowledge, is there in existence a plan of the layout of the first floor of your property? Yes. Have you got a copy of the plan? Yes. Who prepared that plan? I did. How accurate is that plan? Very accurate. In terms of the assessor, your own less not learned from his injections could, in this example, Mrs. Pusey, introduce the plan as Exhibit 2, okay? And look at the sequence of the statements in the bundle. So you can assume, I think, that the witnesses will give evidence in the same order in which their statements appear in the bundle. So Mrs. Pusey's the second witness. So Mr. Pusey's gone first. He's introduced whatever it was, the bit of paper with the writing on it. She's the second witness. She introduces the second exhibit. So you're going to ask me for leave to introduce that as Exhibit 2. Okay, then once you've done that, say, well, can I ask you to hold it up, please, Mrs. Pusey? Now, can you just point out where your bedroom is? What's this room just to the bottom right of the bedroom? And she'll say, that's the bathroom. And what's the room below that, the second bedroom, or whatever it is? And then can you just point and show the route that you should have taken to the bathroom upstairs? Where did you find them? And she'll point outside the bedroom, past the bathroom, in other words, yeah? Let's use it. Okay, good. Thank you, Wendy.